The grin, that damn smug, self-satisfied grin plastered across Amelia's face, was the final straw. It was the confirmation. The cherry on top of the sundae of deceit she'd been serving me for months. She just deleted a string of messages, her thumb swiping across the screen with a finality that made my stomach churn. All done cleaning up, I asked, my voice deceptively calm. She looked up, startled, phone clutched in her hand. Just deleting some old junk emails, she stammered. Here, yes, darting around the room, avoiding mine. The grin was gone, replaced with a mask of forced innocence. It was pathetic. I'd known for a while the late nights at work, the hushed phone calls taken in the other room, the new perfume she wore that I never bought her. The signs were all there, but I'd clung to denial, to the hope that I was wrong, that the woman I loved wasn't betraying me in the worst way possible. Until now. Junk emails, huh? I repeated, taking a step closer, and flinched, her hand tightening around her phone. Funny, I continued. They sounded an awful lot like Jeremiah Harrison's voice. When I heard them through the baby monitor last night, her face paled, the blood draining away, leaving her looking like a ghost. She opened her mouth to speak, to deny, to spin some elaborate lie, but I cut her off. Save it, Amelia, I said, pulling my phone from my pocket. I've been recording your little late-night chats for weeks. I figured I'd gather enough evidence before I dealt with this. I pressed play. Jeremiah's oily voice filled the room, whispering sweet nothings, making promises he had no intention of keeping. Amelia's breathy responses filled with a giddy excitement. I hadn't heard from her in years. Followed it was sickening. I watched as the color returned to Amelia's face, this time in a fiery blush of shame. Her eyes welled with tears, not of remorse as suspected, but of fear. Fear of being exposed. How could you? She choked out, her voice barely a whisper. How could I? I countered, my voice rising. You lied to me. You betrayed me. You broke our vows. You shattered everything we built together. I hit pause on the recording. The silence that followed was thick with tension. Amelia crumpled onto the couch, burying her face in her hands, sobbing. I felt a flicker of pity, a brief pang of the love I once felt for her, but it was quickly extinguished by the white-hot rage burning in my gut. Pack your bags, I said, my voice cold and hard. You're out. She looked up, her eyes wide with disbelief. What? Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. I replied, just not here, not with me. Next few days were a blur of packing, arguing, and tears. Amelia tried to apologize, to beg for forgiveness, but it was too late. The damage was done. The trust was broken. I couldn't look at her without seeing the betrayal in her eyes, without hearing Jeremiah's voice whispering in my ear. But I wasn't done. Amelia's betrayal wouldn't be complete until Jeremiah Harrison knew exactly what he'd cost himself. I tracked him down easily enough. He was a mid-level manager at a local firm. His LinkedIn profile, boasting about his integrity and leadership skills. I waited for him in the company parking lot, the recording of his illicit conversations with Amelia playing on a loop in my car, a soundtrack to my simmering rage. When he finally emerged, briefcase in hand, whistling a cheerful tune, I stepped out of my car and blocked his path. His smile faltered as he recognized me. You, Amelis, he began, his voice trailing off. Husband, finished my voice low and menacing. The own you've been screwing over for the past few months. The color drained from his face. He stammered, trying to deny it, but I cut him off. Save it, Jeremiah, I sighed, holding up my phone. I have proof, and I'm not just going to play it for you. I pressed play. The sound of his own voice echoed through the parking lot. Heads turned. Whispers started. A small crowd gathered. Jeremiah's face was a mask of horror. He tried to grab my phone, but I dodged him easily. You can't do this, he stammered, his voice barely audible above the recording. Oh, but I can, I replied, a cruel smile spreading across my face. And I will. I turned up the volume, ensuring everyone within earshot could hear every whispered word, every illicit promise. Jeremiah's colleagues stared at him, their faces a mixture of shock and disgust. His carefully constructed image, his reputation, his career, all crumbling around him. I watched as he shrunk under their gaze, his shoulders slumping, his face contorted in shame. This was my revenge, not just on Amelia, but on the man who helped her destroy my life. As their courting ended, I turned to Jeremiah, my voice laced with venom. Enjoy the rest of your career, Jeremiah, I said. my voice dripping with sarcasm, or what's left of it. I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there exposed and humiliated. The whispers of his colleagues followed me like a triumphant fanfare. The next day I learned Jeremiah had been suspended from his job pending an investigation. Amelia, having been thrown out of our shared home, was staying with her sister, her reputation tarnished. Her future uncertain, my own future was also uncertain. But for the first time in months I felt a glimmer of hope. The pain of betrayal was still raw, but I had taken my revenge. I had exposed their lies, shattered their illusions, and brought their world crashing down around them. And as I drove away, I didn't look back. The grin was finally gone from Amelia's face, replaced by the bitter taste of consequences. And for me that was enough. The road ahead was long and difficult, but I was finally free to walk it alone.